Hello, this is André Campbell, and we're here with Spiritual IV. Let me turn all that so you have to look at all my what do you call those magnets sitting on my thing there. But this week, I want us to spend a little time as you're taking a little break from work or from your day, whatever it is you're doing. Let's take a little time and discuss. Go back a step into something that we covered recently. We talked about reorientation and maybe you missed that one. And so I just give a brief synopsis, and I want to talk today about deflecting. Deflecting. And so let's take a look at Genesis chapter 3, and we're going to look at verses 12 through 13. And matter of fact, let's go back to verse 11 if it's possible, Stan. If we can go back to verse 11, we're doing this live, y'all. We edited this live here. If we go back to verse 11 and go forward to 13, just to give a little understanding of what's going on here, God had basically carefronted, as I would say, not confronted, but he carefronted Adam and Eve after they hid themselves. He came in the cool of the day, the Bible tells us, and he asked them, why are you hiding yourself? And they confessed. Adam confessed. We realized we were naked and we hid ourselves, but we were afraid, whatever. And God said, "Who told you?" In verse 11, "Who told you thou were naked?" Let's go back to 11. "Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee, thou should not eat?" He was alluding to the fact that clearly they had acquired some information, some knowledge through an action. Let's go on to 12. So God asked that question. Let's look interesting. It's very interesting what Adam answered, because before I read it, let's just take a step back in our minds that God had given them an orientation. We talked about that a few weeks ago. God gave them an orientation to the Garden of Eden, to everything He had created. He gave them the ground rules and told them and set them free to enjoy their lives. They were at liberty to enjoy their lives. They weren't banished or banned from anything. They just were. He said, "That tree there, don't touch that one." You can call that a ban, but clearly they had access to it. So He gave them an orientation, gave them the ground rules, and then they got disoriented as a result of participating and partaking of this fruit in the narrative that had the power of transmuting and transmitting the knowledge of both good and evil. So we won't go there today, but there was a disorientation. There was a that took place. Now God is seeking to help reorient them, but before He can reorient them, there's something that happens. And I guarantee you, if we look at ourselves, we take a serious look at ourselves, we will realize that we often do the same things before we come to the reality of seeing ourselves in situation. So verse 12 says, "And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat." Let's see what Eve has to say, because now the spotlight is put on Eve. Adam put the spot, he deflected to Eve. So instead of reflecting on his role in it, he deflected to Eve. Let's see what Eve says now in verse 13. She says, "And the Lord gave unto the woman, and the Lord God said unto the woman, What is it? What is this thou hast done?" And the woman said, "The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat." We'll stop right there. We can take that down, and basically we see here that in a moment where they could have reflected and come to terms with their role in the situation, instead of reflection, they deflected, they reacted, they didn't want to basically own up to what they did. I want to encourage us today that God is constantly looking to help us get reoriented. Our lives may be, from the decisions we've made and various things like that, may have become a disoriented situation. But God is saying, look, if you are willing to heed my word, if you're willing to hear my voice through my spirit, I will help reorient you. But that is going to require you to be reflective of your role in the situation. We're always looking at the splinter in our brother or our sister's eye. I wonder if I can encourage us today, in these few minutes we took, to instead, why don't we look at the plank in our own? I got a lot of planks in my eye, and I've been reflecting on them lately, and it's been changing me. I encourage you today, look at the possibility of the change that could be wrought in your life if you choose, instead of deflecting, blaming others, looking at everybody else in the situation. That's easy to see, right? But what's hard to see is my role and my place in it. God bless you, and I'll be praying for you. I'll see you next week on another episode of Spiritual IV. God bless you. See you next week.